Hello everybody, assalamu alaikum. Okay, okay, let's continue with our review. Okay, so today we will review this last chapter of paper 1, chapter 24, which is government intervention. So government intervention means like throughout the paper 1, what we did is like how the free market works, how the demand and supply works, how the price mechanism works, like how everything is determined in the market, what are the expectations of the customers, what are the expectations of the producers, and what are the expectations of the other competitors. Okay, so lots of things we discussed. Okay, but when things gets out of control in a mixed economy, what happens that government interferes, government intervenes. Okay, so this the following you'll have some situation where the government intervention is taking place. Okay, so we have government policy to deal with externalities. So externalities we already discussed previously that this is like external cost. That means apart from private costs, these are like the spillover cost. Because of the consumption or production of a particular goods or services to the party who are not involved with the production and consumption. Okay, so basically they are known as third party. Okay, that means those who are not involved with the production and consumption but still getting negatively affected. Okay, so the how government deals with the situation, see that first of all they can charge taxation. They can charge taxation to those who are not here. Mm, okay, okay. So we can charge taxation for government can charge taxation to those activities which are polluting the environment. Okay. Okay, then and also government can provide subsidies to those who are providing a environment friendly example in the society. Okay, so like we have grants or tax allowance or other kind of forms of subsidies can be provided by the government, so that this is a situation where these subsidies are helping the producer to produce in an environment friendly manner, or it reduces the externalities. And next we have fines. So those who are damaging the environment, government can fine them, okay, penalize them so that they stop these kind of activities. And then we have government regulation. Government can come up with strict regulation and everything, and so which will help the government to um, regulate the production and consumption in the society. Then we have other measures like different countries use different measures. For example, pollution permit. Okay, so sometimes some of the economic activities, suppose think about the brick field. Okay, so bricks are quite necessary for a country for construction of roads, buildings, and bridges. You need bricks. Okay, so we must continue to produce bricks. Okay, but producing bricks is a very polluting. The method of producing bricks are not environment friendly. They're quite harmful for the environment. So government may have to allow the producers to some extent to produce and allow them to pollute the environment. Okay, this is considered as like pollution permit. Okay, but what happens that the permissions are quite expensive, so that it's not frequently produced, or it's government just try to make it a bit difficult, but still they have to continue. Okay, so these expensive pollution permits can be bought by the producers to continue activities which are harmful for the environment. Then we have government regulation of competition to promote competition, limit monopoly power, protect consumer interest, control mergers and takeovers. Okay, and so see that so competition is also very helpful for the economy, and competition increases the standard of living of the people of the country, because it reduces price, increases quality, and also increases choices of goods and services. Okay, so that's why government tries to promote competition. They try to limit monopoly power. They try to protect the consumer's interest, and they control the mergers and takeovers. Okay, because mergers or takeovers can also reduce competition. Next, we have government intervention in the labor market. So, see the reasons for minimum wage. So, there are minimum wages. That means these are the minimum amount of money that any producer or seller need to or a farm need to pay its employees. Okay, so government is sets a limit so that then they are not deprived. Okay, usually it's above the equilibrium price. Okay, so that so these are the following. We have three reasons why government does that. Okay, so like first of all, we have there are some disadvantaged workers like women, ethnic minorities, low income families. So those people are saved by the government through this minimum wage. Then it reduces the poverty because income rises for many people, and it increases the standard of living of them. And then it also helps business. Some people, some economists and business people suggest that this raising this wage rate will motivate the workers, and it will lead to a higher quality job. So ultimately, the business will enjoy a higher productivity. So there are some good side and bad side for minimum wage. Suppose we already discussed some of the good side, like it increases income, increases productivity. It's then it also helps the labor market as well to develop, getting developed. Okay, but there are some disadvantages as well. See that it can cause unemployment, because this rise in wage rate will increase the production cost, and which may reduce the demand for workers, and it may lead to unemployment. Then it can also encourage black market. That means there will be many laborers who will be willing to work at lower rate, but this will be evaded from the eyes of the government. So that's another negative thing. Then some firms will suffer because they won't be able to afford these wages. Then this it could lead to higher prices as firms pass on wage increases. Okay. So see that prices of the goods and services may also rise because of this push in the cost of labor cost. And then we have regional imbalances, like this is also very harmful, because in some area there will be lots of job, in other areas there won't be much job, so it may create imbalances. Okay. So say that's the graph for the minimum wage legislation. See, this is the equilibrium. Mm, Equilibrium. So see, the equilibrium is quite low. So equilibrium, when the equilibrium is quite low, that a government will interfere, and then will come up with minimum wage legislation, which is above the uh, equilibrium wage rate. Okay, but the problem is, say that reduces the demand as farms cannot afford them, and it also increases the supply. Higher wage rate attracts more labor, so this will create an imbalance in the market. It may create yeah, surplus of workers, right? Because what's happening that um, we are having workers, but they won't be able to find any job because the demand has fallen. Okay. Okay. So that's all from this chapter, and it's end of the paper one as well. Okay. Let's review um, some chapters from paper 2 as well. We already covered them many times, but still let's go through. Let's quickly go through. Most probably this is the last class before the exam. Okay, I'm quickly going through this protectionism. Protectionism is the policy to protect the domestic industries. So government come up with some restrictions which protects the local competitors, and makes the life of the foreign competitors difficult. So there are some methods of protection like tariff, that means tax on import, and quota, that means a physical restriction, subsidies, that means it's a grant or help from the government, then administrative barrier, that means it just making the process a bit difficult for the importers, depreciating exchange rate, which will make imports a bit expensive. So this is very helpful. Then we have reasons of protectionism, like it protects jobs, it protects infant industries, it prevents dumping. Dumping means like selling goods by the foreign firm in your country at a cost which is below the production cost, which makes the local producers' life very difficult. Okay, and if it continues, then the local producers may leave the market, and dominated by the foreign firms. That's the main objective, but it's an illegal in the international market. So if government identifies a dumping situation, then the government will take action against it. Then we have raising revenue, like tariff is a kind of revenue for the government. So that's another reason. Then preventing the entry of harmful goods. Harmful goods are very bad for the um, consumers. Okay. Then we have current balance. Current balance means like we have the difference between the export and import. So if export is quite low, then it will be very difficult for to paying the import bills, because we have to pay the import bills in terms of foreign currency. So lower export is a problem. So protectionism tried to reduce import, and it will help the government. Okay. Then we have some problems like the free trade benefits will be lost, because there will be uh, yeah, lots of restrictions. So all the benefits from free trade, like lower prices, more choices, better quality, access to cheap resources, those will be suffered. And retaliation, that means there might be trade war kind of thing, like because if you restrict some country, then that country will also may also restrict you. This may lead to retaliation or trade war. Then other policies might be more effective, like instead of using protectionism, you can use supply side policy. Sometimes these are very helpful compared to protectionism. Okay. Okay, then we have trading blocks. Trading blocks are like group of country getting together to enjoy free trade. Okay, so over there, what we are having that this kind of trading bloc is within the country. They will have free trade. Okay. So here are some of the functions of trading bloc, like coordinating economic policies and development planning. And then it also tries to help the less developed country or developing country, and then operating as a single market instead of multiple country working as like multiple market. They work like a one big huge market. Okay, then handling regional trade disputes. Okay, so that the barrier reduces. So there are some advantages and disadvantages as well. The advantages includes like this will within the members will have free trade benefits. Okay, then there will be lots of FDI between countries, foreign direct investment, and then there it will also lead to closer cooperation. But unfortunately, however, there are some disadvantages, like it may discourage globalization, because with the rest of the world the trading may fall. Within the countries it's increasing trading, but with the rest of the world it will fall. Then we have it's not free to maintain this trading block. It's a burden to the taxpayer, because lots of cost is involved, financial cost. Then there are if a farm in the trading block becomes too powerful, then it will be a problem for the consumers as well, because they may become too strong and exploit the consumers. Okay. Then the non-members will also suffer, because non-members won't be having these free trade benefits, and lots of barrier will be there. And then we have World Trade Organization. That means it's an organization which promotes free trade, and this free trade is promoted by our World Trade Organization and the member country within the country. There might be some barriers, but the World Trade will try to gradually reduce and ultimately eliminate these barriers. Okay? So World Trade Organization is quite active in reducing and eliminating these barriers and administrating and monitoring the situation of the countries and settling trade disputes. Okay. But there are some criticism because sometimes the WTO is found as very undemocratic. It only favors the large corporations or strong countries. They ignore the rights of the people, of the rights of the weak country, like the rights of the laborers. Okay, that's criticism they're facing. Wealthy nations are favored, poor nations are not much favored. Okay, so that's a very unfortunate criticism. Okay. And then we have better why this trading or export or world trade is increasing. One of the main reason is like better transport, better communication. It's also getting cheaper. Trade barriers are getting relaxed. Multinationals are getting dominated. They're accessing many countries market. And then travel and consumers are yeah, consumers are traveling a lot, so awareness is rising. Demand for lots of goods from developed countries is also increasing, and trade agreement is taking place between countries, which is also encouraging trading. Then the last chapters, last topic is exchange rate. In exchange rate, we it means like price of one currency in terms of another. So it is mainly determined by these two methods: fixed and flexible. Fixed is determined by the government, central bank implements it, and flexible is determined by the forces of market forces, that means demand and supply. So there are some demand factors and some supply factors here. So let's quickly go through. Like demand factors includes demand for export. If demand for export rises, currency local currency appreciates. If the inward FDI increases, then it also increases the demand and increases the value of the currency. If interest rate in the home currency increases, it also increases the demand and leads to a higher appreciation. And supply factor includes demand for import. So rising demand for import will increase the supply of currency and reduce the value of currency. Then we have outward FDI. Outward FDI includes yeah, what outward FDI includes like what like money is flowing out of your country, so this will again increase the supply and reduce the value of the currency. That means depreciation. And interest rate in other country, if that increases, that will also take away money from your country to foreign countries. Okay. Hmm. Okay, then see, so there is a huge impact if this kind of exchange rate appreciate or depreciate. Like let's see an example, like an impact of falling exchange rate, that means depreciation. And so this kind of depreciation makes export cheaper, and so this will lead to a rise in export. And if you talk about import will become expensive and it will reduce import. And it's like vice versa. And if the exchange rate increases, export will become expensive, so export will fall, and import will become cheaper, so import will rise. Okay? So government need to closely observe the situation and take care of the situation. Okay, so that's all from these chapters. Okay, so let me know if you're facing any question problem. Okay, most probably to this the last class. Okay, before the exam, but I think you can still text me and ask for questions. Okay, there are also study notes over here, so you can go through those. There are assignments. Hopefully you submitted them already, and you'll find something very similar in the exam, which are related to the assignment. Okay. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you, everybody. See you in the next class, inshallah.